What's that smell? Is that... I think it's long parameter list. Ah, yeah, that's what it is. It's long parameter list smell. Alright, so that's design smell number 4. Long parameter list. Alright, now as we know, a parameter is something passed into a function in order to help it do its job. And so a long parameter list is just too many of those parameters. So let's say we have a function here, my function. Alright, and let's say as parameters it takes in 7 parameters. A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Alright, so that is quite a few parameters. Alright, and then the function contents can be whatever. Doesn't really matter for this example. So that is quite a few parameters, 7 parameters. I would say any more than around 5. 5 is kind of like the limit, the maximum you want to have. And so this has 7, so it smells of long parameter list. Alright, and why is this bad? Why is it bad to have so many parameters? Well, because every time you're calling my function, it's very unlikely that the function will actually need all 7 of these parameters. Right? The longer this list gets, the more unlikely it is that it will need all of those parameters. Okay? So let's look at an example. So let's say I was calling my function here, my function, and let's say I just passed in a bunch of numbers for all these parameters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Alright, and I'm calling this function. So let's say that I wanted to swap the order of some of the parameters. Well, in order to do that, I would need to change all of the calls to my function. So let's say I decided C and G should swap places. I just think they are suited better that way. Maybe I want C to be an optional parameter, which optional parameters should typically go at the end of a function. So let's say I'm swapping C and G. So the G goes here now, and the C goes over here. And let's actually make C an optional parameter as well. So C is now optional. Okay. So now that I've done that, this is now incorrect. Alright, and I will get no compiler warning for this unless those parameter types were different, like one was a number and one was a string. Alright, so I need to remember to change this as well. So I gotta swap the 7 and the 3 in order for this function call to still be correct, because I intend for the 3 to go with the C and the 7 to go with the G. Alright, so that's one reason why so many parameters are bad, because the more you have, the more this problem will occur where you're wanting to swap out different orders of things, right? Because the order gets more and more, like the order has more and more power or more and more importance or more and more order, right? There are more things having an order, the more things are in the list. So the more things are in the list, the more likely that you'll want to change things around, and then the more you'll have to change every single call to my function as well. Alright, another reason is because when you're passing in all of these, they don't really have a description as well. So the solution I have for this is like passing in an object which contains all of these and therefore describes them. So let's look at that. So instead of passing them all in like this, we'll rewrite this, and instead of declaring a line of parameters like this, what you do instead is you declare 1 or 2 parameters. Here I'll just say data. Alright, and we'll say that this is TypeScript, and I'll give it an any type. Any. Alright, so now that this has an any type, I can just pass in an object with as many parameters as I want. Now you can also just pass in like data with a particular type, like an object type that you declare. And when to do which, well, I would say that use the any type while you are developing things, while you're exploring what your application should be doing, while you're prototyping and so forth. And then as you're getting ready to finalize your application and things are getting more solidified, you can replace this with a specific type, declare your own type, or many other languages other than TypeScript, they just make you declare the type in the first place. But TypeScript has the any type, which I really like because I spend most of my time prototyping. All right, and so now when I call my function, now instead of passing in that line of parameters in a very particular order, I can simply pass it an object which contains all of the fields I desire, nicely described. So A, we can pass in 1, right? B, we can pass in 2, C, 3, D, 4, etc. I can pass in as many as I want. All right, and I could put this all in one line. It could still be just about as short. I mean, it will be a little bit longer because it has the names in there as well. But I like that because it describes these parameters. So instead of having to like hover over my function and like try and match up the order of the parameters with the things that the tooltip describes, this just plainly describes them all. So this is much more readable. All right, and if like the data that my function is expecting ever changes, then I have the option of like using this any type so that the callers of my function are more flexible. Like they don't have to pass the data if they don't want to. Like maybe all of the data is not mandatory. But if the data is mandatory, then I can declare a specific type here instead of any, like like party data or pizza data, whatever kind of data is passed into this object. I can still get compiler alerts if the callers of this function did not pass the required attributes. But I also have the flexibility of having all of them be optional. All right, and the order being completely flexible, like the order of any of these fields could change as well. All right, so this has a huge advantage of available flexibility with the any type and available flexibility with the, I don't know why I'm saying available flexibility, it's just flexibility with the order of these. Like I can pass the D first or I can pass the B last, you know what I'm saying? So guys, that is the long parameter list design smell. Basically happens if you have more than 5 or so parameters. All right, and it's easily fixed in TypeScript by using by just passing in an object like this. All right, and sometimes it makes sense to pass in like specifically, like an object and a string because like the name of the function is like, I don't know, it has something to do clearly with just those 2 parameters. But it's just when the list starts getting really long, it's clear that it should be just inside this big object. And frequently in TypeScript, you don't even see this design smell that much because people just do this anyways. All right, I'm just letting you know in case you ever do see a long parameter list, 7, 8, 10 parameters or more. This is a really easy way to fix it. Just use a data object which contains all that data. All right, guys, and that is it for the long parameter list design smell. That's all I have for you today. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a thumbs up. I got some new colored markers. This one's green. Hopefully that's still pretty visible. Leave a comment down below. What do you think of the video? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, guys, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next video.